Good morning and welcome. So good to have you here, good to have you there on the holy interwebs. I'm Rev Gy, delighted to spend this time with you. Dr. Charley, thank you. Your words are inspiring. I'm so glad you exist. Here's how I like to build my talks. Usually, I prefer to find a story that I will begin to tell, and you will become so captivated. And it'll grab your attention, and then you're hooked. And then you're paying attention, you can't help it, because it's like so riveting. And then when I have you, then I'm going to sneak in some other little ideas that I have thought of in preparation for this talk. And so as I was preparing for this talk, I was thinking, okay, what story could I reel you in with? And I realized that the story that I want to speak about, that the little ideas that I have come up with in preparation, that is the story. And there is no story to match this one. In fact, this story is the one that preachers and speakers will use in generations to come to reel in their audiences. Because what is out there to match this story? In 8 days, the highest office in this country will be occupied by a convicted felon, an adjudicated, I nearly said educated, an adjudicated rapist, sex offender, a serial liar, a thief. What story could I have introduced this with that would have captured your attention any better than this one? And don't you think that this particular event will be used as a story in generations to come, to shock us, to reel us in, to get our attention? What times we live in. And here is the problem, that if you went through schooling in this country, you were taught to respect this office. That's baseline. The office is to be respected. And then the office is occupied by someone like this, and it's like, how can I respect this? How can I condone this? How can I go along with this? Our moral fortitude tells us that this is not okay. Our moral true north tells us that this is an abomination, that this is simply wrong. And then you say, but 49.9% of the people voted for this. And I say 49.9% of the people were wrong to do it. And if you wish to hear this as a talk about Republicans or Democrats, that's on you. Because that's not what I wish to deliver. If this person would be a Democrat, I hope to give the exact same talk. And if he would have been a Democrat, I truly hope that I would have voted Republican, even though I'm a Democrat. So there is that confusion, right? That highest office deserves respect. It's been, like beat into us, like taught to us. And then this person occupies it. How do we find a place where we can exist within this craziness? It's an upside world. So then I was thinking that, what kind of people are we, Unitarian Universalists? We are people governed by principles. We think of ourselves as principled people, yes? And our principles say that all human beings are good, decent. And then reality reflects something totally different. Well, that's also crazy making. So I thought about this. I thought about this because I really used to subscribe to that belief. And hear me out, I say used to. And then I thought, okay, where did I go wrong? If I used to, and I don't anymore, where did I go wrong? And I think this is where I went wrong. And then, hear me out, because you may have gone wrong there too. Principles are aspirational. And there is a gap between the aspiration and reality. And when we start believing that principles are fact and not an aspiration, then we start seeing people the way we want them to be and not the way they are. And then all of our decision making, our relating to them, is from that place and not reality. It's not their fault that I divorced myself from reality. It's mine. Because I wanted to see them better than they actually are. And even us, on this spectrum of principles, on this journey, even us are different places. Well, some of these people haven't even begun the journey. So for me to treat them as if, it's a mistake. It's a mistake that has consequences, that lands somebody like that in the highest office, that we say the office deserves respect. Well, no more. So then what are we to do? What are we to do? You know, dogs don't get ulcers. Did you know that? They have difficulties with their stomach. They can get sick. It's because they take some kind of medication that attacks the lining of their stomach. It's because we feed them some kind of food that is just not good for them. But if all is well, if no medication, if the food is right, dogs don't get ulcers. People do. We get ulcers. We get ulcers because this is what we try to balance in our existence. It's making us sick. That we have people we know and we love and we respect, and they voted with the 49.9%. And then we get the ulcer. You know what dogs do? When somebody offends them, when somebody's in their space and wrongs them, they lash out. It takes a second, sometimes two, it's settled, and everybody just shakes it off and walks away. But we tell ourselves, we can't get angry. We were wronged, can't get angry. That's not what decent, civilized people do. And I think it would do us well to say, you wronged me. Your vote put me back in fear. My wife and I are trying to figure out what to do when our marriage will be delegalized again. You put me there. How are we to be when immigrants will be rounded up and concentrated in camps? Do you hear that? Concentration camps. How are we to be with that? Polite? Kind? Try to justify why they're doing that? Accept it? How are we to be with that? Or should we have that anger and say, that's wrong, and we won't allow it? Things that work against us are also platitudes. All is well. Tell that to the married gay people who live in fear now again. Tell that to the immigrants. Tell that to the blacks, to the poor, the really poor, who think that they are being looked after, and they're going to have a rude awakening. Tell that to the Palestinians. Tell that to the Ukrainians, that all is well. There is another one that I loved. It sounded so good. When they go low, we go high. It sounds so good. And I don't know what it means. Like, I don't know how that translates into action. When they take a woman's right away to choose, what does it look like that we go high? Because that's a pretty go low from them. What does it look like that we go high? I don't know. Do you? Because I don't. So let us not dazzle ourselves with platitudes, with sayings that sound so good and lead nowhere. It's a dead end. Here's what I think. I think that in the body of our democracy there is an infection. And that's in the highest office, a sickness. There's pus and there's infection, and it is systemic now. Simple antibiotic will not do. This needs IV antibiotic. It needs you. It needs me. So when they go low, that's when we link arms. And that's the wall we build. And we say, no. No, you will not take this right away. And the ones you've already taken away, we are coming for them. We are reclaiming them. When they go low, we pull together. And we fight. And if you don't know how to fight, connect. Find groups that know how to do it. And talk and connect and organize and unite. And if you're tired, speak into that. The rest of us will carry you. And then we'll take turns. No more platitudes. No more imagining that our principles have been realized. They are aspired to. If we think that our principles have been realized and this is the world we created, then apathy sets in. Like nothing works. Like I've committed my life to this and that's what I've manifested. Cynicism, like how is it possible that this man never suffers consequences that you and I would. You and I would be behind bars many times over if we would have done half of what he's done. So we are in danger of suffering apathy and cynicism, and don't. That's when you lean into principles that we understand are aspirational. And here's the other thing. A fight is coming. And they fight dirty. And if you think that we won't get dirty in the process, think again. Because it's not possible to roll in the dirt without dirt getting on you. The difference is that we know to wash that dirt off of us. That we are not of the dirt. It just got on us. And we are not of the dirt because of our principles that we aspire to. We'll get dirty, but can't get discouraged. We'll get hurt, but can't fall into apathy. And if we do, we must shake each other up and say, no, that's not the path for us. We must be the white cells that attacks the infection. That's what we need to do. Heal it. And it requires us to tell the bad cells, you are bad. You've done bad. You need to either change or we got to do away with you. This is bad. There is an infection raging in our society. And we must heal it. We must heal it. And now we understand that principles are aspirational. We understand that all people are not good. All people are not up to good. They're just not. And now we're willing to see it for what it is, and then relationship with that for what it is. Not live in dreams on clouds of platitudes, of beautiful sayings that are dead ends. Our work is cut out for us. And I loved the reading for today, and I'm going to reread it. Maybe you listen to it again and drive it home again. There is a word today that is the ringing cry of modern psychology. It is maladjusted. Certainly, all of us want to live a well-adjusted life in order to avoid the neurotic personality. But I say to you, there are certain things with our social order to which I am proud to be maladjusted, and to which I call upon anyone of goodwill to be maladjusted. I never did intend to adjust to the evils of segregation and discrimination. I never did intend to adjust myself to religious bigotry. I never did intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few. I never did intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism and the self-defeating effects of physical violence. And I call on every person of goodwill to be maladjusted, because it may well be that the salvation of our world lies in the hands of the maladjusted. I do call on you to be maladjusted. I do call on you to be a white cell and fight this sickness so we can restore respect to that highest office. So we can have a future. And so can we can be people who can be well adjusted. For there is moral decency restored. For there is kindness, love, equality, generosity restored. So we can truly be a nation that we can say we built that. We like it. It feels good. It's a helpful nation. So I call upon us to link arms and build that wall of big heart, of serious commitment for goodness, for kindness, for equality, for all. And so it is.